everybody, welcome to another beautiful Los Angeles morning. I am currently going down Santa Monica Boulevard from LA to Santa Monica. You guys are coming along with me this morning on my morning commute to another gig right now I'm doing for this week. So some stuff I want to talk about this morning is actually some general safe lane splitting guideline. I wanted to show you guys what it's like to commute in heavy traffic, especially heavy LA traffic. Although, arguably, this is actually pretty clear for LA. Generally, in the mornings, this street is completely backed up, heading over to the west side. So the question is, when to lane split and when not to lane split. In general, my practice is that I like to only lane split when the cars are going super slow. You know, when it makes sense, because basically you kind of have to make a risk assessment of when cars are most likely to change lanes, and they're more than likely, when they're congested and kind of stuck behind a red light, they're more than likely not be able to change lanes. Of course, that Chevy just proved me wrong about cars not changing lanes. So yeah, like, all my rules aren't exactly, these aren't hard, steadfast rules. You really have to exercise caution and exercise a lot of risk assessment. So another question is, you know, where should you stop? Once you do, you know, when you're lane splitting and you're at a bunch of stoplights, and you know, you get up in front of all these cars, where do you go? There's two ways to do this, two methods. One is, you know, some people like to pull up all the way to the crosswalk and get in front of all the cars. And most of the time that works, because on a bike you're traveling, you can accelerate much faster than most cars. The Grom, for example, that I'm riding today, this thing is only 125 cc's, it's super small. The acceleration isn't that great, but it is still better than most cars. So one thing I like to do sometimes, you know, if I don't feel like trying to get ahead of everybody, is I like to do what I call kind of like a sacrificial lamb, which is basically, you don't pull up to the car all the way at the front, you know, at the crosswalk. You pull up just behind the car, the first car. And you know, the reason why you do that is because some cars will actually just kind of run a red light as they're trying to run a yellow. Like this, for example. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but in general, cars at intersections usually take about, on average, about 2 seconds before they actually react to the light. In LA, you'll notice a lot of people on cell phones when they're not supposed to be, and sometimes they'll take longer than 2 seconds. This is where you get an example of getting ahead of all the cars. Generally, try to stay out of the crosswalk, because there are people trying to cross the crosswalk, and usually they don't like a motorcyclist blocking their path. This is Beverly Hills, you guys. This is another good example of when to lane split. A bunch of cars are stopped. Okay, go around this BMW decided to take up a lot of space. So as cars start to move, sometimes I'll just go ahead and pull right into a lane. You want to provide what's called egress, basically space to get out in case the car decides to pull into your lane. You know, in a situation like this, you're going to end up in a lot of people's blind spots. And, you know, you can get mad if people pull in your lane, but the truth of the matter is they didn't see you. So you just have to exercise caution. Another thing you guys want to do is kind of stay nice and loose on the handlebars so you can make sudden changes if you have to. I like to cover my brakes and clutch like so, because you're going to be doing a lot of adjustments, you know, to adjust your speed and be ready to brake if you have to. Keep in mind that, you know, because you're on a bike, you know, you're the width of less than half of a car, so you're pretty narrow, and as a result of that, people actually have a difficult time judging how far you are away from things. It's kind of the disadvantage of not having two headlights, believe it or not. There isn't enough reference points for people to, in general, decide how far you are away from them. Okay, so coming up ahead, there's a good example of where you should be a little bit careful and give enough room. The cars in the left lane here are more than likely, if they were going to, they would probably try switching to the shorter lane on the right. So you have to move a little bit more to the right just to be careful, just in case someone does actually decide to pull into your lane. It's happened before, you know. Someone is impatient. They're like, oh, that's a shorter lane, I'm gonna pull into that. But they didn't see the motorcycle coming because they weren't looking. Alright, this is an example of the sacrificial lamb. Right here. Although this Sonata is going to be making a right turn, I'm going to go behind the Celica. There we go. So to be honest with you guys, the traffic here this morning isn't as busy as it could be. Not sure why. Maybe more people are taking the 405 this morning, or maybe people just kind of known that Santa Monica Blvd generally gets really congested and they're avoiding it. Who knows? It's, you know, a lot of LA traffic is just completely unpredictable. You know, I don't want to sound like an episode of The Californians, but you can really spend a lot of time talking about traffic here in Los Angeles. Also, you gotta remember to check if you're gonna switch into another lane suddenly, just make sure that there's not a motorcyclist coming, because you don't want to get into a motorcycle on motorcycle accident if another guy is lane splitting. So another disclaimer I should probably give you guys is that, you know, this isn't a video about you know, should you lane split or not lane split. I'm just showing you guys, you know, what I do when I lane split. Of course, this pretty much only applies to California, where lane splitting is legal. And by legal, I mean, you know, they're not going to go after you for lane splitting. And by they, I mean the police, the sheriffs, the popo. Anyways, you guys, thanks for watching my video. Feel free to like my channel if you guys enjoyed this. If you didn't, like it anyways.